I think it's closed. Come on, let's go in.
Come on, guys, I'm starving.
Hey, look. Hey, this thing works.
I see a journey to an exotic place. I hear music and laughter. I hear crunching. I see salt and vinegar, ketchup and barbecue. I see Hostess potato chips and friends who hunger no longer. Swami sees all. Not bad, eh? When you got the munchies, nothing else will do. Hostess potato chips.
I put this thing together like in about 30 seconds. I haven't done a video in a million years. I feel like I completely forgot how to. But anyway, so I have no idea. I put filters on this microphone a million years ago, and I have no idea how they're all set up. So I have no idea what the audio sounds like. I think the camera looks good right now. I had to put together a light kit at a shop light that I found. Like this is guerrilla, I don't know, YouTube making right now, but I had to make a video for this. This is a huge deal for me. Absolutely mind-blowing day. If you've been following me on X, I've been losing my mind for the last like couple of hours because I just found out that Hostess potato chips are back, and I'm freaking out. But here they are. They've rebranded them as Munchies, which was always the mascot of the Hostess potato chip brand. They were called the Munchies. So they've just kind of outright called the Munchies, which is kind of funny because there is a chip brand called Munchies, well, they're like a party mix. So kind of a weird decision to make there, I think. But it does say on the bag Hostess. You can kind of see it down here. But yeah, like these literally dropped today, like just out of the blue. Boom, here we go, we're back. This is so crazy to me. If you followed me for a couple of years and you actually read my blogs and things that I write, I've been writing about, like, I write about potato chips a lot. I know it's a little weird, but it's something I really enjoy. And like these were always Hostess barbecue chips. These ones I'm holding in my hand right now. These were always the gold standard. They were my absolute favorite of all time. And here in Canada, they were probably, at least in my area, which is Nova Scotia, and I think they were a big brand in Ontario and all through, like, at least like Eastern and Atlantic Canada. Like Hostess potato chips were like the king. The other brand that would have went up against them would have been Humpty Dumpty. For me, I always picked Hostess. Then in the like mid to late 90s, I want to say like 96, 97, something like that, Pepsi, which owns Lay's, they came in and they bought up the Hostess brand, and for a very short period of time they kind of lived together on the shelves, but they did a big ad campaign in Canada with Mark Messier from the of course the Edmonton Oilers. Bet You Can't Eat just won. He's still doing these commercials today. Eventually they just completely blew out Hostess. Now that was the case here in certainly in Nova Scotia and Atlantic Canada. My understanding from people I've talked to that live, friends of mine that live in Ontario, is that there were some grocery store like small grocery stores and stuff like that that actually still carried Hostess chips not even that long ago. I didn't find this out until maybe the last 10 years. I tried to like order them and I couldn't get them shipped here. So even though they did exist in Ontario at that time, I couldn't get them, and then eventually actually they completely phased them out even there. So I just kind of assumed that I was never ever going to get to try these again. I'm a total nerd, so I've actually written to Lay's Canada multiple times, and like asked them, you know, do you think you might bring these back out even if it was like a summer promotion or something like that? They were very kind in telling me that they can't say anything that they're doing with promotions or different products and stuff like that, but they thanked me for reaching out to them. So I really thought that this was never going to happen. I was never going to get to taste these chips again. The last time that I can recall having them was, I know I wasn't driving. I'd say I was probably 14, 15. At this point, the chips had been totally phased out and Lay's was in. And I was at the video store. I was going to rent a movie or a game or something. I was by myself. And I walked in and they had a little standee there. And it had like just like, you know, like regular size, like, you know, single size bags of chip there. And they only had Hostess barbecue for some reason, which happens to be my favorite, but that's all they had on it. So I like grabbed 2 bags. If I remember correctly, I grabbed Final Fantasy 3 for the Super Nintendo. I booked it to a convenience store on the way back and grabbed 2 Cokes, went straight home and called my good friend Cole, and I was like, because he's also like a huge fan of these chips. We were both obsessed with them. And I was like, I've got Hostess barbecue chips and Coke and Final Fantasy 3, like come over. And like I said, like it's probably 14 or 15, something like that. So, you know, not to say my age, but this is like 30 years, close to 30 years, since I've had these chips. I know it's like, it's kind of ridiculous to get nuts about potato chips. But like these were my snack of choice for like everything that I did. Like if my friends and I were having a movie night and we were getting together to hang out, I bought Hostess barbecue chips. If we were like playing video games or whatever, I got Hostess barbecue chips. Like anything we did, parties, birthday parties, whatever, like these were my favorite and I got them for everything. And then all of a sudden one day Lay's came in and completely like wiped them out. And it wouldn't have been so bad if they'd like adopted some of the flavors, but they came in with that sweet barbecue flavor, which I think was like an American thing. In Canada, we would have called them like hot barbecue, would have been written on the bags. They were different. They're not sweet at all. They're just very spicy. Well, not very spicy, but they're spicy. And they came in with like a sweet barbecue. And I'm about to talk about barbecue chips for too long, so just a fair warning. And I've written all of this in the past too. So I actually switched over to Humpty Dumpty, which was kind of the competing brand for Hostess because their barbecue was still a hot barbecue, and I ate those for many years. Eventually, they got bought out by Old Dutch, which is a Canadian company. They're out in the prairies, I think. For a long time, if you bought the Old Dutch barbecue chips, you'd actually see on the bag, it would say Humpty Dumpty barbecue. They actually didn't get rid of the flavor. They kept that specific flavor, even though they branded it as Old Dutch. So for a long time, I bought those, and that was fine. And then a few years ago, they actually just changed it to Old Dutch barbecue. They're pretty similar, but they added like cinnamon or something like that and sweetened them a little bit. It's not as bad as like the Lay's barbecue, but it was enough to kind of turn me off. The last time I had those, they did like a very small run of like kettle cooked Old Dutch chips, and they actually put the Humpty Dumpty barbecue on those. So that was the last time I had those. That was a long time ago too. You can still get those, I think, if you live out in the prairies, like in Winnipeg and places like that. Like apparently if you buy this little box of chips with little bags in it, it's the old barbecue flavor. And I think in like the northeast United States, like in New Hampshire and Maine and places like that, I think Cole has told me his family has picked them up for him and brought them up from him when they go down there. And it's the Old Dutch, like, sorry, it's actually Humpty Dumpty. The brand is still kind of alive down there, and they have the barbecue chips down there. So he's had those. I haven't had those in a very long time. I'm about to open up a bag of these. I'll show the other flavors first. The only other classic flavor they had, like on a chip, was they had ketchup. They had tangy ketchup. I was surprised that I didn't see any regular. I don't know if they're going to come out later or if they were available and they were just gone when I got there. It looked like they had every kind there, but they had like just regular chips. They had ketchup and barbecue, which I showed. They also had tortilla chips, which are round. They almost look more like a Tostito, but they had chili cheese, which is not a classic flavor. Chili cheese was not a classic flavor. So this is like totally new. And then they had sour cream and onion, which is a classic flavor, but on the tortilla chip, which I thought was kind of weird, but definitely look forward to trying them. And then lastly, they had 2 kinds of popcorn, which is totally new. They never ever had popcorn before, for sure. They had cheddar and all dressed, which is, of course, a very classic Canadian flavor. However, they didn't have all dressed Hostess chips. That came much later. It was actually a Ruffles thing, I think, initially. Ruffles is still the best, but a lot of them have adopted it now. Hostess didn't have tortilla chips in like the Hostess potato chip brand, but they did have tortilla chips that were called Taquitos. I've also written about those. I'll probably link all this stuff down below if anybody actually is interested in this. They had like a Taquitos brand, so I don't know if these are going to be... These don't look anything like those. They were really oily, like triangle chips. Doritos, actually, when like Lay's bought them out, Doritos bought out Taquitos. Actually, I think Doritos bought out Taquitos before this whole thing happened. And in Canada, there's still a flavor that Doritos sells called Zesty, which is actually, I think, originally like a Taquitos flavor that they adopted because people loved it so much, so they didn't want to get rid of it. So I'm gonna stop talking now. I'm a little bit like nervous because it's been so long since I've had these. You start to wonder, like, are they gonna taste the same as you remember, or did they change them and maybe these aren't the exact same flavor? It's been so long, I'm not really gonna remember the exact flavor, I don't think. So I'm kind of like, is it going to be a different flavor, or is it the original flavor and it's not how I remember it? It seems crazy, but anyway, I'm about to find out. Oh, not to put a hex on the whole thing, but I did go out and get a Coca-Cola. Again, me and my friend Cole, this was like our drink of choice, and these were our snack of choice. And like I said, we got them all the time, so I had to make sure that I had a cold Coke. They smell amazing. I want to say I remember what they smell like, but memory's a weird thing. But this does, like, this comes back to me for some reason, like 100%. Here's the chip. Like I said, these are not like a sweet barbecue, or hopefully aren't. These are like, they're calling them old school barbecue. I'm gonna not chew into this because that's just weird. I'm gonna chew over here. I just discovered a time machine because I just went back in time and had Hostess barbecue chips for the first time in like 30 years. Holy shit. They taste how I remember them in my mind now. Cole, I'm gonna have to talk to Cole. When I mention Cole, I'll throw at his ex, his Twitter, whatever you want to call it, Cole Dark. He has a great YouTube channel as well. He's one of my oldest friends. We've known each other since we were 4. He has a better memory with this stuff than I do. But this, to me, this is exactly how I remember them. Holy shit, I can't even believe this right now. I have to fire up Final Fantasy 3 right now. I don't have it anywhere near me. You know what? I actually do. This is, of course, the Japanese version, Final Fantasy 6, for the Super Famicom, not the Super Nintendo, but I had just happened to have it up there because I was looking at it the other day. I wonder if I could turn this thing on right now. I might do that. I might try to set that up right now. It is also September 10th as I'm recording this, which is like X-Files Day. If you're a big X-Files fan like myself, today is the day that they premiered the first episode. So pretty much every year on September 10th, I watch the first episode of X-Files over again, which you would think I would get tired of that, but I don't really at all. So I may just get back and watch X-Files. I may save this whole experience for another time. Maybe I'll try to connect with Cole, and we can do Hostess barbecue chips and Final Fantasy. But I just can't believe that this is happening, guys. Like, you have no idea. It seems ridiculous to be so obsessed with like a snack food. I mean, I'm clearly a snack food kind of guy anyway. You know, it's like, it's something that was there every time that I did something, like when I was a kid, that was fun, like got together with my friends, with family, you know, get-togethers and movie nights and game nights and things like that. So it's like, it becomes like kind of a part of that whole, I don't know, that whole ritual in a way. And so it was so important to me, you know, back then. And then when they went away, I was kind of like bummed totally. But I mean, you move on, it's potato chips, of course. You know, all these years I've just like kind of, you know, hoped that this would happen, and it's happened. So I may be a weirdo and a loser, but I'm a weirdo and a loser eating Hostess barbecue chips for the first time in like 30 years. So I'm pretty happy about it. Anyway, I'm not gonna sit here and munch on more chips and John about this any longer. I'm gonna close out the video. But if you are in Canada, I think these are like everywhere. I went to a Sobeys in Nova Scotia and found these. I saw some pictures of them in Newfoundland at a Sobeys. I've heard that in Ontario some people found them in Walmart. So if you were in Canada and you have a fond memory of the Munchies and Hostess barbecue chips, or just, sorry, Hostess chips in general, you can find them. You can go to the store and get them right now and kind of relive your childhood, which is always fun. So that's it for me this time, guys. I hope this video doesn't turn out totally terrible, and hopefully I can post this thing, but I don't know, I had a lot of fun here. So anyway, maybe I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Peace.